Welcome back to Seriously What the Podcast. I'm Diana,
I'm Oksana.
and this is a podcast where we talk about everything that we're curious about, that we want to explore, things like politics, religion, cultural shifts, and just like fun hobbies that we have.
Or seriously, what
Yeah,
scenarios?
yeah, exactly. Or like seriously, what scenarios that we see online or in the news. Today's topic is one that I've been curious about, pun intended.
Curious. Yeah, I was just gonna
It's
say.
sober curious movement and the exploration of what started it, how we see it play out in Toronto in particular, and what we think about it. Okay, so to dive in, let's see what the sober curious movement is all about. So it's described as a person who questions their alcohol consumption and explores life with less or no alcohol, and it involves a mindful and intentional approach to alcohol. Okay. So when I hear that statement, I think of what it was like growing up in North America, in Toronto, in high school, university, and how integral alcohol consumption was to, I feel like, a lot of our like social groups and social settings.
Friendships and relationships. Yeah, it
Friendships,
was
yeah.
very, very central to that for sure.
Yeah, like was it the same way for you? Like I know you went
I met my
to.
husband at a party.
There you go. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's all you literally
yeah,
did.
that
And
was.
it was, you were considered cool if you
Yeah,
drank.
yeah. And it was a bit of like uh, a cultural mentality where if you weren't drinking, if you weren't participating, you were an outcast, and there was no point of inviting you to events because
Yes. And
you
not in a
wouldn't
good
be.
way as well.
Yeah, exactly. This was obviously like 20 years ago more.
Just aged us.
Sorry. Um, but it like I think of my high school days and my university days, and I'm like, yes, it was integral to. Yeah, we had university clubs and things you can participate in, but outside of that, in order to maintain your friendship with your high school friends or
Mm-hmm.
groups outside, you
Mm-hmm.
did go to clubs, you did go to parties, you did go to like bonfire nights, right?
And bars just to
And
hang
bars,
out and
yeah.
catch up. There was always alcohol. Even just like having a girls' night or just like
Mhm.
a hangout with your friends always involved
Yeah,
alcohol.
it did, and it's like a lot of the times did we go overboard for sure. Like at least I like speak for myself. Like I know I
Oh,
did.
I quit drinking at 17. That's how much I went
Yeah,
overboard. Mind you, I
exactly.
restarted again a year later, but says
Well,
for a bit.
it's a thought that counts,
It's the thought
you
that
know.
counts.
And the thing
Because
is,
it was hard to be sober at 18 years old.
yeah, you're going through so many transitions in your life, and you're evolving, you're physically evolving, mentally evolving,
You're
and the world
ostracized
is, yeah.
from all your social circles though,
Hmm.
right? Because everything involved, and there wasn't like mocktails weren't really a
Yeah,
thing. It was like, oh, are you pregnant?
yeah,
That was
exactly.
literally the only
Like if
reason.
you weren't drinking, if you as a woman
Mhm.
and you wanted like a sparkling water or anything, that was like, oh, are you pregnant? Why aren't you drinking?
Yeah.
There was this stigma attached.
Why don't you want to have fun?
Exactly. The
Mm-hmm.
stigma was real. And it, like for a lot of people, it was like you having to justify
Mm-hmm.
your actions to other people who will not understand you because they weren't in that mental state as you were. That was a difficult part, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But like the sober curious movement, it doesn't say like no alcohol, it just limits the amounts of alcohol you do have and consume weekly, monthly,
And
whatnot.
you're putting a conscious effort too,
Yes.
right? And to actually checking in with yourself, being like,
Yeah.
wait, do I actually need to have this amount of alcohol? Do am I just doing this to feel included
Hmm.
in a group? Can I do something else? Right?
Yeah, and it's funny you say like when we talk about the inclusion and being included in groups because I didn't realize this, but
Mm-hmm.
while doing research for this episode, I realized that this is a leftover from the boomer generation. Like the mentality of inclusion,
Oh,
and
interesting.
it's you having alcohol was such an expectation within their society
Mm-hmm.
that for you not to do it was like you were ostracized. And that kind of went to our generation, the millennials, and
Mm-hmm.
less so to Gen Z now, right?
They're like a whole different breed.
Exactly. But
So true.
um it like the alcohol consumption in like regular in regular adults 35 years and under has decreased, in the last 20 years.
Mhm.
And it did start around the 2000 millennium. Now, only like 62% of adults 35 and under state that they actually consume alcohol regularly or in social settings,
Mhm.
versus the 20 years before that, that was 72%. So with a massive decrease, obviously we see the shift
In
towards,
society.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I've even just noticed a lot of, I mean, mind you, there's still a lot of events happening that are centered around drinking, right? But now there's a lot more other events that are not.
Yeah, that's true. So this past weekend, I ended up working an event for the coffee party, which is a great concept, and it follows the sober curious movement.
Yeah.
Of it's geared towards millennials and Gen Zs who don't want to stay up late, don't want to feel mentally or physically drained after like the effects of alcohol has on you, of going out to a club, and want to be able to enjoy good music in a social setting with like-minded friends without alcohol.
And there's a lot of millennial beats that happened.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was really, really great to see.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true, and it's so much fun. Like, it's a day party where it focuses on the coffee culture versus the alcohol culture. Coffee culture in our teacups today.
Yep.
But it was a great experience, and it's great to see how many people come out. So this event drew about 2,000 people. So it's yeah.
Stack Market?
At Stack Market, yeah. It was great over the long weekend. This is September 2nd today.
First day of school. Welcome back, children.
That's true. Welcome back to your education.
Yeah, welcome back to your education. Stop drinking and partying and go back to learning.
Exactly. And it was a great way to wrap up the summer and wrap up the health conscious movement, which I think goes hand in hand with the sober culture. Okay, you have opinions on this. Let's hear them.
Okay, so it's not like, so the sober curious movement, apparently slightly different than sober culture movement.
Okay.
Because sober curious, you're not like, you can be 100% sober if you want, and or you could just be more conscious with your drinking. So something called zebra striping. Have you heard?
No.
What I was like, what is this? Okay. So it's just a term where you alternate between alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Why is it a zebra and why is it striping? But anyways, so when I was doing research on this,
hence the outfit today.
Yeah. Thank you. The crunchy, like, wellness movement has always been
restricting.
So it has always been there. So the sober movement has always been there. By crunchy, I mean like you're doing granola. You're doing like sound baths, you're doing meditation, you're selling your matcha teas or your other herbal kind of teas that are alternatives to drinking. I find prior to kind of, I want to say the last maybe like 5 years, it's been, if you want to be sober, you kind of have to join either like AA kind of culture.
So if you do feel like you were
like an alcoholic, do you know what I mean? Like you had to be at the very, very end.
Issues,
so you're joining the AA movement, or you go through the whole wellness route where you're doing yoga, you're doing like wellness retreats and all that kind of stuff, where sobriety is very much
an expectation.
Yeah, exactly, right? So say, for example, for people like us who we're not alcoholics, but we've grown up in the alcohol culture, drinking quite regularly. I was like, gotta be careful with my words. Drinking quite regularly, who now want to be a bit more conscious. There weren't a lot of events if you weren't in the wellness community and if you weren't an alcoholic for you to attend. So I find that the last 5 years have been really booming with more sober kind of and or sober curious activities, right?
Yeah.
You have non-alcoholic bars popping up.
Yep, you do.
You have
sober markets in Toronto popping up. where companies and like alcoholic beverage companies are now understanding the
market shift,
exactly, and the trends with the younger population and generation, where they are. Like, do they want a White Claw? Yes, but not always an alcoholic one. So nowadays they're doing non-alcoholic White Claws.
What?
Yeah, I know, they literally taste like sparkling water with flavoring in it.
Is there like non-alcoholic Smirnoff Ice? Because like that's what I grew up on, Smirnoff Ice.
I'm not sure about that. I haven't seen that in the store, but I'm sure there's a non-alcoholic lemonade you can purchase from an alcoholic company. There is like phony Negronis you can purchase. There like Aperol and all the classic cocktail alternatives you can purchase, and beer. One of the biggest things that started like in this trend that I saw was like the Heineken 0.0, the Michelob Ultra, the either low calorie or low percentage,
like 0.4%.
Yeah, exactly.
Drinks.
And then we also see the shift in wine industry where they do lower alcohol. So versus traditionally it's between like 12 to like, let's say 15-16%. Now some wines are created with 7% alcohol for a whole bottle of wine versus the 13 and 15. So you can enjoy your glass without having that hit that comes with drinking wine and having its effects on you.
I think the trend kind of really started to take off because, again, like you were saying, sober culture has been around for a while now, right? So it's not, but I want to say within the last 5 years is because what happened in the last 5 years?
The pandemic.
And what happened during the pandemic?
We all drank.
Yes, okay, that too. So we had to stay indoors, and because we had to stay indoors, and because it wasn't, to us millennials, an unprecedented pandemic, we drank a lot more, right? So they had to, but bars pivoted to do virtual Zoom cocktail making classes, but they also, there's like the sourdough phase and etc. But there was
a good phase.
A lot of the non-alcoholic cocktail bars and like events and companies were started during the pandemic.
We're selling the cocktail kits,
the mocktail
kits,
because you didn't want to be kind of drinking. So that was, I think that made it a lot more accessible to people versus before they probably wouldn't have. Again, in a social setting, you're going out to a bar, that kind of thing, right? But here you're like exploring different little things that you can entertain yourself with.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like with that rise, now that we're out of the pandemic, it's we are back where we were, but not really, in the sense that
traumatized.
Well, obviously, but also the fact that the sober curious movement is part of our life, and I don't feel like anytime you go to any social event, there are not just like water, as because a lot of the times, when you did go out earlier on, if you're going to the corporate event, things like that, you had your alternatives were pop and water. Now,
or like a Virgin Caesar.
Yeah, like if you're lucky, you know what I mean? And like if you're going on like a holiday, you're gonna see like a Virgin Colada.
Yeah.
Right? And like the resorts. Great. But now, like you go into a restaurant, you notice all the restaurants have the non-alcoholic menu
has really increased.
Yeah, exactly. 0 proof cocktails, 0 proof wine and beer available for you, which is great for anybody who is curious about the culture, doesn't want to have the negative impacts that alcohol has. And like despite the fact that alcohol marketing has shifted, it hasn't shifted to a point where they are marketing it as like, it's something good.
Yeah,
we all know it has a negative impact on your health.
But it's not marketed as something equally as bad as like smoking, for example.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
No, for sure.
You know what? I'm actually glad you brought up smoking, because the other thing that I'm not sure, but one of the reasons that has been floated why the sober curious culture has taken off in the last 5-10 years in particular was the rise of legalization of marijuana. So like in Canada and parts in like in certain
it's been
states
for a few years now.
Yeah, and in a few states, like Colorado is one of them, right? New York, California, where marijuana is legal. It has been people don't have to use alcohol as the main substance that they're using, right? And instead they can have that similar effect from marijuana use, right?
Whatever. Well, there's been a huge rise in cannabis drinks.
Oh yes, the CBD drinks. Yes, yeah, absolutely true. That has been a huge rise, and that
it also helps. So you're still kind of like drinking a beverage. You're still getting like loosening up or whatever. I've tried one and I'm not really a huge fan. Me and weed are not friends.
Yeah, let's just say. I've never tried them, so I don't know. It just seems like an interesting concept, but
so it hits you differently, and obviously different bodies metabolize it differently, but we've just have as a culture more experience, and it's more normalized to drink alcohol, right?
Yeah, absolutely is. Like, well, alcohol has been around for thousands of years.
Even during Prohibition.
Yeah, during Prohibition, before the Middle Ages, you have stories of like ancient Persia and obviously Greece and Italy, right? So the Roman Empire, they've had alcohol their entire lives, right?
And well, mind you, they were back then. They all had alcohol because water. They didn't know how to properly sanitize water, right? Yeah. So they drank. What was it, like the beer or rennet like or something?
Malt.
Yeah, like the kids drank that as their like water source, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But now that we, not necessarily we keep our waters clean, environmental pollution, but we know
we can clean the water. We
can clean the water
and filter it properly.
Know, what's good and what's bad about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like that's a good point to make, because like we have evolved, but alcohol has continued to be an integral part in our cultural societies.
You know what I wonder? If the rise in the sober culture was also because us millennials went to therapy.
Honestly, I think a lot of it is to do with that.
And we no longer need
to
drown our sorrows, to mask so heavily, and to feel so fit in, right?
And it helps us, I think we're more open to exploring our habits and where they stem from.
Yes.
Right? So obviously therapy helps with that, to see like, okay, why are you doing what you're doing, and why are you drinking so much? Like, what are you trying to escape? That we don't have that level of escapism. We're a lot more likely to look at ourselves and see exactly what is this behavior trying to tell me that I need to change. Right? So that's a good point.
There's also, I find, mind you, so we're looking at this when we were teenagers and drinking was like a huge thing. Now, as we're in our 30s, some of us are having families and stuff, and we're like moving on our career paths and exploring or finding out ourselves. We no longer feel the need to be surrounded by alcohol as much.
Yes.
And I don't even think us drinking less is partly because of the sober culture. I think it's just like different age groups.
Okay.
But to be fair, can you imagine teenagers during COVID?
Yeah.
Like, I feel I loved my teenagehood.
Yeah.
And no matter like how much I drank and whatnot, the experiences I have had have been pretty invaluable. And I'm just curious to see what are kids doing now? What are teenagers doing now? Because as we chatted in our previous podcast, they're not really going out to clubs.
No, they're not.
They're not really going out to bars, right? Like, where are they? Actually, I'll tell you where they're hanging. Rock climbing, badminton.
Yep.
They're doing all the...
Well, the rise of the clubs.
Sports. Yeah.
It's the rise of the clubs. We have the run clubs. We have the tennis and pickleball clubs and leagues opening up, right? So I feel like in our present generation, like the millennials to an extent, and the Gen Zs, we are way more health conscious than previous generations before us.
So they grew up more health conscious, right?
We grew up more health conscious, and I know some of it is like remnants of like diet culture of the 90s, like 80s and 90s, but absolutely, like there's no way you can like
fully escape that with not even one generation.
Exactly. But now with that health and well-being in mind, so many other things are opening up to you. And the other thing is, like, the run clubs and like the sauna and cold plunge movement. Like, I used to go to Othership, and I really enjoyed it. They have social events for either singles people or for community, where you go into these spaces that it provide you, and you listen to like a DJ. You have like interactive,
it's, you know what I mean? It's music. It's very, very social experience while doing a
health conscious activity.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I feel like they trying to round it out in that sense. Which I found to be very interesting. And honestly, like, if you are part of the Sober Curious movement, or you are fully sober, that's a great way to be exposed to a community of like-minded individuals in a setting that you enjoy. And that's going to bring you a benefit, not just like a physical benefit, but like, you know, we are social creatures and we need that sort of interaction. Like, how do you continue building that community outside of the alcohol industry, or like, you know, going like bar hopping, which was something that we used to do. Right. What do you do now as a, like, an alternative to that? Right.
Book clubs.
Book clubs.
Book club hopping. Actually, speaking of that, so even Pride this year had a sober Pride. Where they had a full event where it was just for folks who wanted to participate in Pride, but they still wanted to meet people, because a lot of queer folks meet in nightclubs, and that's kind of like where they go out, where they can let loose, right?
And feel safe in their own spaces.
Exactly. But with the evening festivities, you are drinking more, you are expected to like hook up and all that kind of stuff. So this was just more during the day, kind of like everyone's welcome, for the sole purpose of like meeting up and stuff. And like Pride for us, Toronto Pride is so full of booze.
It is
great, lots of festivities, but it's really, really centered towards booze. So when I found this out, I was like, oh, that's really, really interesting.
That is really cool.
They're bringing sobriety even within like huge events. That was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I really like that. The rise of mindfulness, I feel like it has a massive impact.
I was like, what does that mean? Mindfulness.
So places like, there's a space called Trove in Toronto, which is like a mindful meditation space. You can do guided meditations and self baths that we talked about before. But I feel like places like that are opening up to people who want to be part of a community that is health conscious. And it has like so many overlaps, because obviously not everybody wants to just spend their time in a mindful meditation palace.
It can't be so extreme.
Exactly. But they do tend to like partner. Like, I know they've partnered before with like the coffee party to run that. We did this previous one on Saturday. There was two Pilates classes that were part of it as well, that you can participate in, which was great, because that's a great way to find other people, other women in this in Toronto.
It's a great way, I find, to maybe go to an experience Pilates. Like, Pilates to me feels very intimidating. I've never been, because I'm intimidated.
Really?
Yes, I know. Fun. I know. And it's weird, because like I'm a fit person. Like I feel like I literally physically would fit in. But I don't feel like I would fit in. So going to experience it for the first hand in a more neutral setting, where it's like outdoors and you kind of like peace out. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. Like, it takes away some of that weight of having to perform. Partly, you know, and then to do a good job. You're just going in, you're having a good time, and then you can stay and chat with other people later, and that's great, right? So mindfulness, I feel like that's a big thing.
We've stopped maybe, like, I'm just thinking back to like maybe in my like teens and like 20s and stuff. I was running on autopilot. And just more like, okay, so like either if you're in university or you're working, so like you go to work, you come home from work, you are drinking. Like, shout out my husband. goes to work, comes home from work, and is drinking. Now drinking non-alcoholic beer, but drinking nonetheless, right? And I'm really like struggling to have kind of like, how do I, not even just for him, but just for like a lot of working individuals who are like in their 30s and they're like, is this my life? Like they don't need to have a very like extreme experience happen to them to be like, oh no, like I have like a disease or something like that, to go into the sober culture. I like how it's become a lot more prominent in our society.
It is, yeah,
and
absolutely.
more accessible and normalized.
Yes, yeah, it's a lot more welcome. Even like when you're talking about that, you know what the thought that came to me was dating. Right? So because majority of the dating you did in your 20s and early 30s was centered around restaurants, bars, social events, sporting events, which, you know, like if you're going to concerts, you're going to like sporting venues, you're purchasing a drink here, purchasing a drink there, you know what I mean?
It feels empty to not have something in your hand.
Yeah, and also
it's so weird, but
it's also very scary when you're putting yourself out there, and you know what I mean? That alcohol kind of creates like a buffer.
Yes, between if you're nervous and you're anxious to go to an event. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you feel like you make an ass of yourself, you're like, oh, well, I just drank too much. Like the lack of accountability you had.
Oh my gosh, did I do anything crazy last night? I totally like to have,
Well, that's exactly it. So the lack of accountability is part that we're trying to get back with the mindfulness, right? So like now you are intentionally dating. You are more likely to like not drink on a first date, to have like a clear understanding of who the person is and have a better representation of who you are in a social setting without the buffering of alcohol to like, you know, dull your senses and like maybe, you know, enhance quote unquote your personality. So a lot of people feel like, you know what I mean? I become so much looser. I'm like, when I drink.
Or more sociable.
Yeah. I'm like, the reality of it is you are that person, but you just choose not to be that person in a because sober setting.
You may not find those situations safe.
Exactly.
So that actually brings me to another point: ADHD and drinking.
Yes.
And
the impacts it has.
So like we all kind of read all the you know like headlines and stuff like, oh my gosh, the rise of like autism and like ADHD and like today's kind of thing, right? And I think the reason why
is it a rise though?
I think the reason why we as neurodivergent people have gone under the radar for so long is because we've drank and we've shoved ourselves in these social settings and we numbed our sensory discomforts, social discomforts through alcohol.
Yes.
And we ourselves didn't know we didn't enjoy certain, you know, situations, and or we were different than our peers because we were doing the exact same thing. Like I looked up to my peers in every like social situation, and for us human beings, the need to fit in is so strong.
Oh God, yes.
And you're like, I want to go to a party. Yes, that party's overstimulating, but I'm just gonna drink and I'm just gonna numb that pain, right?
Yeah.
So now with us being mindful, we're now either having children who are neurodivergent and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm neurodivergent, or we are realizing ourselves, our behaviors are actually just ADHD symptoms that we're trying to like mask. And,
right? Exactly.
So the sober rise is
I feel like
a few different things.
Oh God, for sure. It's never one clear reason why. Like I feel like society is just shifting, and we are having a better and clear understanding of who we are and how we can participate better in society, right? So without having to mask, to use like anything that like dulls us or enhances us, whatnot. But it's a cool way to look at it and be, you know, still have that social life that we all crave and the connection to community without having to, you know, be drunk or incapacitated a lot of the times, which I feel like I appreciate, because realistically, the older you get, the harder it is when you drink. Sad, but true. Now, you know, it's like a girls' night, if we are drinking, it's going to be like maybe a bottle of wine if we're lucky to get through that, because the bounce back the next day is a lot harder, and the physical and the mental ramifications that you feel after having 1 or 2 glasses of wine is just like, you wonder, how did I get through this in my 20s?
I was just thinking that. I was like, how did you like go out on a Friday night, then work a shift at like Abercrombie the next morning and like have no
exactly
just like zero struggle versus now here, if I literally have like 3 glasses of wine, I'm like, oh man, that was a party.
Yeah. And then you're drinking water between them.
Yeah.
It's not like you're
and you're sitting at home in the comfort of your couch. You ain't like going out clubbing and like partying.
Exactly. But you still feel the effects the next day.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, mind you, like our metabolism changed.
Our metabolism have slowed down. Our bodies have slowed down. So that definitely plays an effect. But I'm like, oh my God.
You know what? One thing I wish I kind of researched before this, now that I mentioned, I wonder if drunk driving has decreased due to the increase in sober culture.
Yes, but now they're charging you with DUI if you're under any influence. So like marijuana, I don't know if that's going to skew it. You'll have to look at the statistic between marijuana usage and, you know, it's no longer like drunk driving. It's driving under the influence. What influence? Is it alcohol or is it marijuana? Yeah. I think it's going to be a differentiation. But
interesting.
Yeah. Bright side though, majority of people, despite alcohol being a depressant, a lot of people do end up having like a lot of rage on it, which is not necessarily the case when it comes to marijuana. You know?
It's the reason I had to slow down my drinking. I get the rage.
Yeah. You're not the only one. You know what I mean? It happens.
And it's wild. Yeah. I was like, I don't remember being this ragey as like a teenager, and I drank like a fish. Here I have like 2 glasses of wine and I'm like,
yes,
spicy. I'm a little snappy. Yes, I like that. I'm a little spicy.
A little more spicy than you would normally be. No, it's true. Right? So like that does have an effect on you. And like the moment you become conscious of how your body reacts is the moment like the sober curious movement makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Right? Especially
it
like
appears into your life. And
it does because also like majority of our friends are no longer, you know, are with kids.
I was like, majority of friends are no longer friends. That's what I was gonna say. Well, that's an episode for another day.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of our friends now, when you do want to like not drink, they don't have a problem with that. Versus like when our teens and like early 20s when you weren't able to participate.
Hold on, are you saying your friends now with kids, they don't want to drink, they have no problem with that? Because all I know is the friends with kids
but like
drink so much.
Well, no, they do drink. Like they still drink, not in excess and not all the time.
Right.
Nor do they, if I can't drink for whatever reason by my personal choice, nobody's questioning my choices anymore.
Yeah, it's become like, more normalized.
Exactly. So like it feels like a whole new level of bodily autonomy is present in our society as well as a result, where people accept the answers you give them without having to like justify them, which we did like growing up, right? So
you know, one thing that I'm not too super fond of, mind you, it makes sense in a capitalistic society.
What is it?
They monetize the sober culture.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Again, with like events, mind you, we are social beings, we want to be there, but everything is like, even the coffee party is paid.
Yep.
Right? Now you're no longer spending $3 for a tall can, something for a tall can. You're spending that $3 on a non-alcoholic kombucha flavored, you know,
or CBD, whatever beverage,
infused kind of thing. So you're still spending the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Mind you, obviously a lot more healthy conscious for you. But that's the one thing that I'm kind of like, I wonder what we can do. Third spaces.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what it is, right? Just not having those third spaces to go and hang out socially.
Yeah.
Without having to hold your emotional support beverage in your hand.
Emotional support beverage. We need to.
It should be like therapist in a can.
Yeah. Theracan.
Theracan. There we
go.
Like
the Theragun. Theragun. No, it's a Theracan.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be a beverage you can hold and feel like you're part of the crowd without being part of the crowd. Exactly. It'll just. But yeah, like of course, people need that interaction, but without the stimulants or the depressants that we used to have, I guess. Yeah. But like, I'm you know what, I personally enjoy the sober culture, and because when you're trying to live intentionally, date intentionally, and do follow like your internal compass, it's a lot easier when you are in a clear mind, right? Like you're not dulling your sensations, you're not dulling your instinct, and it's a great way, right?
Well, and a study came out recently. It was saying that even just like oh wow, I'm blanking on this now. A study came out recently saying even having some kind of alcohol just like regularly has been shown to decrease your brain.
Yeah, the size of your gray matter, right? It does shrink it exponentially. And like obviously we don't know the causal links to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, or complete ones. Like obviously we know the sugar plays a major part, which is also the other flip side of consuming alcohol. It's a lot of sugars, and majority of alcohol.
But as are mocktails, though.
As are mocktails, so like right? It's not like
catch-22.
It is, in a sense, it is a catch-22 because a lot of them are packed with sugar, or like alternatives that are also not very beneficial to you. But yeah,
we're getting there slowly.
We are slowly.
Happy to get there. Cheers with our coffees.
Cheers with our coffees.
And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Till next time.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.